Okay, most people have described you as a diehard sycophantic supporter of the president. Does that affect how you perform your duties in any way?
No, it doesn't affect. To be a sycophant of a government is a good thing. Because it means you believe in government. I think the problem we have in this country is that people who oppose the government of the day want to classify everybody to look like them. Because even in the last session of President Uhuru Kenyatta season 2, some of us who have been supporters of William Ruto, we were branded as sycophants. With some we call diehards, some we are being called you can catch a bullet. I think there's somebody called Bruno Mars who said, I can hold a grenade for you. So at the end of the day, we are just, the issue is, there is so much disinformation and information, say that when some of us defend the development record and political realignment in the country, we appear as sycophants. But being a sycophant of a government, a sitting government, will never be apologetic. Because this country, even when you go to America, when you belong to a particular leaning, even in UK, when you are a Republican, you should defend the policies of a Republican. When you are a Democrat, and that is why us in Kenya Kwanza and UDA, we are defending the bigger, because the team leader, the team captain of our team is President William Ruto. So we are the players who should come out and ensure the disinformation and misinformation that people have should be dismantled. And that is why most people call us sycophants or diehards. We do it because we believe that the President William Ruto should, and of course will deliver for Kenyans, especially in this region of Rift Valley and across the country. So, and you know, that is democracy. Why is it that when Senator Cherargei stated his position to support government, he's a sycophant? But why is it the people in opposition, when they oppose the government, they are Democrats? So, you know, you cannot have your cake and eat it, and these people are just being, they have nothing to offer, because if they state their position, everybody will listen. The way we defend government, they can critique, and we have never called them sycophants for criticizing the government of the day.
You have shown a strong support to the NADCO and a broad-based government. Does it affect your relationship with the president, given that there is also a chance of creating a role for Raila Odinga as the Prime Minister?
In fact, I have been the biggest supporter of NADCO, National Dialogue report, NADCO report, when it was tabled before the Senate. And you know, there are a number of legislative interventions that are coming before the House. We have passed, like IEBC laws, the issues of election laws we have passed. It has good proposals, even in terms of devolution, the increment of getting money to come to mashinani. They are introducing ward development fund to ensure that we devolve funds to the local level at ward level. So the NADCO report is very good, and in my own opinion, and I think many people have been attacking me and fighting me for stating my mind, and that is why Kenya is a democratic country. You can speak your mind, I speak my mind. So in this NADCO report, I was proposing that we should amend to create the office and expand the executive. Because this country, whether we like it or not, this country is tribal. When one community is in power, others feel left out. But the only way to address the challenges is to broaden the executive. And that is why I have even proposed that outside the president and the deputy president, we need to create the office of the prime minister and 2 deputy prime ministers. And even you remember, I had even proposed an amendment to NADCO, although many people read too much about the term limit as opposed to other ingredients, because even I was proposing, apart from the issue of term limit, I was proposing the creation and expansion and broadening of the executive so that we can have prime minister. Because if we can have Raila Odinga as the prime minister of the republic, we get 2 deputies from other regions. We have the president, we have the deputy president, we have the 2 speakers, National Assembly and the Senate. I can tell you the temperatures of national politics will drop by 50%. And that NADCO report, if we have to be fair, and this is a reality check, Kenyans must accept that going into the future, and you know the problem we have in this country by a constitution, we are neither pure parliamentary or pure presidential. We are a mongrel of something. So we must agree. And even another issue in the NADCO report, so that I conclude, is that I even proposed that in future, it doesn't make sense to appoint a minister, for example, to be a member of a cabinet minister. Then that member of parliament, for example, is caused to resign. There is no need. What we should do when a member of parliament, either a senator or a national assembly, is appointed to the cabinet, they don't need to resign. What we need to do is to pay responsibility allowance. Because one, it becomes costly, because when they resign, you will need to organize an election, which is very costly for the country. Number two, you will be creating political instability from the regions they come. Number three, you would have saved the money. Because the moment an MP resigns and becomes a cabinet minister, you will need to give them a new salary structure. But if you are to appoint an MP to be a minister, you just give them responsibility allowance, they remain, and you save the country. That is why, if the people who are open-minded, they are not opposing anything, they should have listened to me and say, this proposal of having an MP not to resign, but give them a responsibility allowance to sit in the cabinet and be a minister, the way we used to do before, we would have saved a lot of millions to this country. Because, for example, the new ministers that have been appointed, you will need new car, new offices, new salary, new structure of pay, everything. If the, for example, an MP that was appointed to public service, for example, if he was just to be sworn in and give a responsibility allowance, there will be no change much to salaries and remuneration commission. So on this NADCO report, we are going to support. Even in parliament, we have brought a number of legislation and policy. Even I'm happy that NADCO captures the issue of corruption. You know, our counties are bastions of corruption. And that is why even on this issue of road maintenance levy fund, most of the members of National Assembly don't want 11 billion to be given to governors because they are accusing governors of perpetuating corruption. So in this NADCO, there is a proposal that we must fight corruption. And the only way to fight corruption in this country is that if you want to ensure corruption does not happen, the way when you go to Japan and China where people are being hanged for being corrupt, we should propose, and we even propose under Economic Crimes Act, I think that one of 2 or 3, we should prosecute the people who are corrupt within 6 months. The problem in this country, when somebody is found with corruption, they are prosecuted to eternity. So what we should propose, and I'm happy the NADCO gave birth to broad-based. And now that Raila Odinga, you know, there was an attempted coup in June in 2024. Although the JNC protests were done with good intention. But along the way, there was infiltration of criminal elements. And those criminal elements wanted to do a coup. And when Raila Odinga came on board and stabilized the government, that is when now we had broad-based government. And this broad-based arrangement, I want to assure the country, will go beyond 2027. We will engage.
Most of the JNCs who are actually championing the maandamano, that was not their topic. Their issue was, apart from corruption, they felt that they have been left out of the government.
Correct.
So they also felt that maybe when the President Ruto was reshuffling the cabinet, he should at least have included some of them.
But the GNCs are there, like this guy of water. He's a GNC. And the news peers of information. But you know, the fact that I think what should happen is not even having GNCs in cabinet. What should happen is we have deliberate affirmative interventions to ensure most of the young people, including GNCs and millennials and others, and the youth of this country, have access to opportunities without unnecessarily knowing or becoming a cabinet minister. Because if we fight corruption, the services will be easily, because when a GNC wants to get an ID, they will not need to buy their way through or a birth certificate or want to what we call kazi maju kwa mfano, also the issues of fixing roads. So I agree with when the GNC say they wanted a better governance, that is good. Because if we fight corruption, if development is in mashinani and in our towns, if kazi mtaani is there for the young people who maybe have not gone to job, those who are going kazi maju, if the public service, and we have said this public service, and I have said, even I have sponsored a motion, that why should you take interns, which are majorly agencies, to work for government 1 year, then you throw them to the street? I have sponsored a motion that under the Public Service Commission of this country, we should ensure that when Gen Zs or young people are interns, the government must and should deliberately absorb them under permanent and pensionable terms. Because one, that person who has worked for 1 year for government agency, you have used resources to train them. They now have capacity. Then why give them 1 year like the way NYS used to do? They take people to be trained in NYS, then they are thrown on this. But I'm happy nowadays, before you become for police training in Kiganjo, you must have gone through NYS. So that is how, to me, I agree that Gen Z awaken the consciousness of the nation. We have a good conversation about the good governance, fight against corruption, more resources, more youth agenda of across the country. But that one should not stop there. My advice to Gen Z is because some of us who are millennials, we got into leadership when we are quite young and we are still young, is for them, if they want to do a proper change, a change that they want to change some of these things, is for them to get an ID card, to get a voter's card, and in 2027. Because this country, you can only change power through voters.
Senator, the main problem that the Gen Zs are facing, after somebody has gone through school, maybe he has finished the university.
Yes.
When he apply for a job,
Yeah.
they always restrict about the work experience.
And that is why I'm saying the only way we can cure that is through internship. But the problem, they get interns for maybe 1 year, but now Public Service Commission does not absorb them into permanent and pension.
Yes.
The only way we can cure that is to create probation of 1 year. You work for a government agency, or even work with the Kenya Private Sector Alliance. We say, whenever they are hiring, especially in private sector, they consider the 1 year that those young men and women have gone to interns. Then we can be able to cure the issue of experience and the issue of getting into the job market. And I want to assure you, we cannot absorb all the young people. And that is why the president has been talking about Kazi Maju. But the sad reality is that under the labor ministry, some unscrupulous individuals have taken advantage. And that is why even in Eldoret, in Nairobi, even in Nandi, people are they are being conned daily.
Yes.
They are being told, give us 400,000, we'll take you to Bahrain, we'll take you to Qatar, we'll take you to Canada, Australia. So now the president has talked about labor mobility, which according to estimates of labor ministry, at least we're having almost 500,000 young people who have gotten opportunities away. So many people don't know there are almost 3 or 4 categories of young people. One, there are young people who did not finish school. Most of them are hustlers, they are border riders, they are working in hotels like this, they are in hospitals. So those ones, there is how you handle them. The only way the president tried to handle that issue was creating a Sycophant. Number 2, the young people, you and me, who have gone to school, we are looking for a job. So that is another category, and that is why I'm pushing PSC and interns. The only way to cure is also the issue of internship and observing them to permanent and pensionable. The way I push junior secondary schools, that the interns that were being pushed from JSS, now they are PNP under TSC. Number 3, there are young people who just want to be entrepreneurs like you, and other many young people who are watching us tonight. Those young people are people who want to get out and maybe get a good working environment. They don't necessarily want. And then the last category is, we come from Nandi and Rift Valley. Most of us are farmers. So the young people who want to stay in the village and become agribusiness. So the only way to cure them is create farming farming incentives, because in this country the average age of a farmer is around 60 years.
Yes.
Yet we have new technology. We want to do agribusiness. You want to market in Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, X, and many other social media where you can exchange. And I'm happy. I am aware of many agribusiness young people. So all those, many people have lumped young people to be one category. Even if you get those Gen Zs, you will get a Gen Z who did not go to school because they didn't have school fees. You will get one who has finished school fees. You will get one who wants to do business. You will get one who is a border rider. So we need, when we are sitting, and that is why, in conclusion, that is why the government has started what we call digital hubs. We have a young man who is in Kaiboy.
Yes.
He has never stepped in Germany, but he's earning money. He has never even gone to Nairobi. And those digital working online. So there are young people who can sit and digitize. You have seen, and by the way, you should thank President William Ruto. We have monetized social media. That is why if your program will get more views, maybe on YouTube and online and on TikTok, you monetize and get your money. So we must agree, and there are also young people who are in what we call, apart from content creators, there are people who are in entertainment. As we talk today, the public debt, both internal and external, is almost 11 trillion. Every 100 shillings that we get in tax, almost 80 shillings goes to payment of tax.
Lakini why should you tax
And you know
somebody?
Kibaki, people are celebrating Kibaki. Kibaki said kulipa ushuru ni kujitegemea.
Lakini sasa why tax somebody who is using YouTube? YouTube is an international platform.
What the conversation should be working is, how do we work with YouTube? At least when they get paid, they should at least pay something to government on taxes, so that the government can get revenue. That is the whole point, because at the end of the day, if government doesn't get revenue, there are no roads, there are no medicine in hospital, there is no money to go to counties, there is no bursary, there is no education, so at least at the end of the day, government must at least tax. What we should, by the way, in this country, what we should be pushing is when we pay tax, does we get the value? I think Kenyans don't have a problem in paying tax. They only have a problem because they don't see their tax ikifanya kazi.
Vile tax inatumika.
Correct. For example, if the tax we pay, and you go to hospital, upate dawa, upate barabara, you get, ukienda nyumbani, you get bursary, watoto wanaenda shule, everything. I can tell you 100% of Kenyans don't have a problem in paying tax. The only problem they have is how their money is being spent. Because if you go outside here and you get a good road, you go to hospital, you get medicine, you get bursary, you get, when somebody is traveling, the roads are good. I can tell you, Kenyans don't, and that is why when you go to Western countries, Europe and others, people say, oh, uko ni mzuri, maju ni mzuri, is because when taxes are being collected, they do what is intended. And that is why it comes back to what Gen Z were protesting about, against fight against corruption. Because we collect this much, but we don't see the end result of the taxation. And that is why even in the issue of social media and content creators, I think what you should be discussing is how the KRA can sit with the content creators and people in the entertainment industry, people use online like you, sit and agree with KRA. I don't think you have a problem in paying tax, but you must see value for the tax that you pay. Because the tax you pay will allow us to buy medicine in the villages, roads in our homes, and water in our homes, and many other issues. So
what is the government doing to empower the content creators? You know, you cannot just come and tax the content creators, yet you are not empowering them in any way.
And that is why one of the issue one the government is doing is laying of fiber optic cable, which has been done over 80%. Number two is creation of digital hubs. And the president has directed that under CDF, all members of National Assembly, we must have 290 digital hubs. What does that mean? It means in the village where our young people are, they can walk to that digital hub. There is an internet, there is a computer. So they can do their creation. I have seen in Nairobi, where Nairobi, they don't charge young people in doing their content within Nairobi and taking photos and what have you. Even in our cities like Eldoret, Kisumu, Mombasa, we should encourage young people whenever they want to do film, maybe video film shooting for content creation, we should not tax them by the county government, because you know they will always tax. Even if you want to do a show on the street, they will tell you must pay a certain amount. The only way is, one, through efficiency in terms, and in those digital hubs, there must be an internet and a computer. So a young person does not need to buy data bundles to do his content creation or our content creation. They use those digital hubs. Number two, those digital hubs are connected with online job opportunities. And that is why I was giving you, I'm forgetting the name of the young man in Kaiboy, even in Taptengel.